This team won 8 Constructors' Championships in this era. Lewis Hamilton won 6 of his 7 world titles, sitting right here. And for 2025, Mercedes handed this exact seat to a teenager who had never started a Grand Prix. August 2024. His first Formula One practice session at Monza. He rolls out and immediately sets the fastest sector of anyone on track. Minutes later, he bins it in the final corner. It wasn't just a mistake. It was a symptom of the duality of his talent. He was on a monster lap, and then he simply crossed the limit. That 10-minute window was the entire debate wrapped into a single session. Was he a generational talent, or a kid drowning in the deep end? He set the fastest sector of the session. Then he put it in the wall. And somehow, both of those things were exactly why Mercedes hired him. Born in Bologna in 2006, the paddock wasn't just familiar territory for Andrea Kimi Antonelli, it was home. His father is a professional sports car racer, meaning the sounds and politics of a pit lane were the backdrop of his childhood. Let's flip the biggest myth right now. Everyone thinks the Kimi is for Raikkonen. It isn't. The family just liked the name. What people should have clocked instead was the cart he was strapped into at 7, and the Mercedes contract he signed at 12. Consecutive European karting titles validated their massive bet. Mercedes wasn't reacting to his hype, they built it. In 2022, he didn't just win 1 junior title, he won 2, conquering both the Italian and ADAC F4 championships. In 2023, he did it again with 2 Formula Regional titles. Then came the skipped step. He went straight to Formula 2, completely bypassing F3. That matters. F3 is the precise category where young drivers get their first punishing taste of severe tire degradation and surviving in dirty air. Skipping it meant learning those brutal lessons on a bigger stage, against seasoned veterans. F2 was a harsh reality check. He finished 6th overall. But the flashes of brilliance were undeniable, including 2 wins and a stunningly brave wet weather move on Franco Colapinto into Eau Rouge. He skipped the precise category designed to teach you how to nurse a car in dirty air. He put in an F2 season that looked ordinary on paper. And that was the CV Toto Wolff used to replace a 7-time champion. Hamilton's shock move to Ferrari broke early, forcing Mercedes to accelerate their timeline. Toto Wolff staked his entire reputation on a teenager, with Netflix cameras already rolling for the Seat documentary. The yardstick waiting for him across the garage? George Russell, a proven, relentless race winner. There was absolutely nowhere to hide. He was stepping into the most intensely scrutinized seat in motorsport, alongside a proven race winner. And just months before his debut, he couldn't legally drive himself to the shops passing his road test in a standard Volkswagen Golf. When the racing started, the vindication came in flashes. At his debut in Australia, he qualified 16th with floor damage, only to muscle the car through a massive recovery drive to 4th in changing conditions. But if you want to understand the raw speed, look at Miami, sprint qualifying. The car is incredibly loose, sliding violently through the high-speed sections, but he wrestles it into submission. He beats the McLarens by 45 thousandths of a second. He puts the Mercedes on pole. The purists were quick to point out it was only a sprint session. But the stopwatch didn't care. Less than 3 months into his career, he had the raw pace to put a Mercedes on pole. But Miami was just the prequel. What happened 12 months later would rewrite the sport. Remember Monza? The fastest sector, followed by the wall? The middle of his rookie season mirrored it perfectly. The exact tire management lessons he skipped in F3 came back to haunt him. At Barcelona, a failed suspension upgrade made the car incredibly tricky to drive, and Antonelli overcompensated. He fell out of the points in the closing laps because he'd completely cooked his hard tires trying to win every single braking zone. Across the garage, George Russell wasn't mentoring him, he was dismantling him. Race after race, quietly, methodically managing the tires and driving away. By season's end, the veteran outscored him 319 to 150, well over 2-1. This is what a real rookie year looks like. While Antonelli was cooking his tires trying to wrestle the car, George Russell was quietly, methodically driving away from him. But then came Brazil, the turnaround. He took second place purely on raw pace, showcasing elite racecraft in one of the sport's most atmospheric venues. As he crossed the line, the team radio erupted. He finished the year with 150 points and 3 podiums. It wasn't a perfect year. He made mistakes. But in Brazil, he proved he hadn't just survived the steepest learning curve in modern F1. He belonged in it. The 150-point rookie season was just year one. But to understand the true impact of that education, you have to look at what it turned him into. Over the winter, the new 2026 aerodynamic regulations arrived. And just like in 2014, Mercedes nailed them. We arrive at China 2026. Antonelli takes pole for real at 19 years old, shattering Sebastian Vettel's record for the youngest Grand Prix pole sitter ever. Then, the streak. He becomes the first driver in F1 history to start from pole and win in each of his first 3 pole-sitting races. He wins 5 consecutive races. The frantic, tire-cooking rookie was gone. The mistakes of 2025 had been honed into weapons. Other drivers have gone on dominant streaks later in their careers. But to do it from a standing start, with barely a year of F1 muscle memory, no one, ever. Suddenly, the 19-year-old was the youngest driver in F1 history to lead the World Championship. The 2026 car heavily rewarded his aggressive style, and the teammate who outscored him 2-1 last year couldn't live with him now. Russell was now the one chasing him for the title, with Lewis Hamilton lurking right behind them in a Ferrari. We've had prodigies. Max Verstappen debuted at 17, but he started in a low-stakes Toro Rosso. Hamilton nearly won as a rookie, but he was 22. Every shortcut Kimi took should have broken him. Instead, it compressed the learning curve. Nobody has ever taken that level of a beating in a champion's seat, and returned 12 months later to pull away from the grid. The Kimi was never for Raikkonen, but the paddock is going to spend the next 15 years learning to respect it anyway. They said he came up too fast, skipped a step, arrived too soon. Every one of those criticisms was true. It just didn't matter. The name wasn't for a champion. It just belongs to one now. The system that identified Kimi Antonelli at 12 and backed him through every stumble is unlike anything else in motorsport. Here's how the Mercedes Driver Academy actually works.